This is a redo of the 2-R between Regan and Bob in 2012 TOC semifinals. This speech is going to look radically different from the speech that Regan gave. First is that this speech will not go for the framework debate the way Regan went for it, because it's easier to just win under UTO, given that there's a drop turn. And second is that this speech is going to go for fairness over education, i.e. concede the 1AR weighing argument and try to win the ground skew argument via the counter interpretation or on the interpretation. And it's going to try to put link defense on Phil Ed instead of going for Phil Ed. So the speech looks really different. Go back to the original video to follow the conversation for why this 2-R is so different, and let's see what it looks like. I'm ready whenever you are, Kurt.
Yeah, just give me a second.
Go ahead.
Okay, the order will be theory, then AC, I guess. But on theory specifically, it will start. At overview at the top. On theory specifically, it will go from the voter section to the violation to the standards. Ready, Pars?
Yeah.
The only out the 2AR has is via theory, because he goes for a framework in the 1AR, but he doesn't extend any case offense. He has also conceded a turn, which means that it's already game over on substance. However, in order for him to access theory, he has to answer multiple questions. First is a voter question of whether fairness outweighs or education outweighs. Second, if fairness, if fairness or education outweighs, he has to win the biggest strength of link, under fairness or education, and finally he has to win the violation level. He also has to show that he explicitly extended interpretation and counter-interpretation. So let's start at the voter section. I'll concede that fairness outweighs education. This is an argument that he made himself, which means that the magnitude differential between fairness and education is huge. Strength of link times strength of impact link doesn't apply here because he himself made the fairness outweighs argument, and I'm conceding that argument, which means that there's no contestation between fairness or education. So even if he accesses 100% strength of link into education, that's irrelevant. Let's go to the violation. He makes 4 IMEs and another argument. The first IME is that I still have access to frameworks, just do it theoretically. However, my interpretation says that you can't preclude me either from running a theoretically justified framework nor normally justified framework. Also, their second IME is that you prove UTO is fair in the AC. Prove this with a number 5 argument. I don't care if you prove UTO is fair in the AC, or I don't have to prove that content isn't fair. I just have to prove that you can't prohibit me from running another framework. Your third argument is simply a counter-interpretation. One, this is nonsensical. My interpretation is prohibitive. I say what you must do, which means that it's an interpretation. Second, the NC denies the ability to choose framework. And 3, there's no interpretation in the AC, which I'll get to later. Your fourth argument, that I can simply weigh under the utilitarians of meta-ethics. It's not a question of meta-ethics. My argument is that I should be able to run a distinct framework separate from the AC framework. You should air neg on the question of the IME, because his 1AR is very blippy. It's going to become magically clear in the 2AR what he means. So you should not allow for new 2AR extrapolations, because the 1AR is very blippy. Also, I did not get a 3-R to cover new 2AR extrapolation. Let's as an overview on Phil Ed. You may win your offense on Phil Ed. However, you get access to you get the same access to the Phil Ed that I get access to. There are AC points that you have conceded my argument that under topic education on your under your AC that the method for getting topic education is Phil education. The B point that I would concede your argument is that we get Phil education under the AC. We simply have to recontextualize pragmatism. So the advantage, or there's no advantage or net disadvantage on education layer, because we both access Phil education and topic education. But even that's sufficient. Let's go on the line by line. Your first argument is positive. That makes you a moral one. It's a question of fairness or education. There's no link between morality to fairness or education. And second, it's empirically not. People who learn about philosophy become more and more people. Look at Christine Korsgaard. Your second argument is that LD debate as a value debate is irrelevant. I'll concede this argument, and that's simply defensive. Your third argument is already answered. That's topic education. I'll answer your number 2 argument on skills. You say skills critical thinking because Phil education is blippy. One decision denied. Phil education can be really fleshed out and even more fleshed out than contextual level debate. Second, this non-unique contextual level debate can be blippy as well. I can see this non-unique to Phil education, which means that there's no net gain or net harm on Phil education on your ground claims. Extend my ground standard is that you prevent me from running an NC. You prevent me from running an NC, which takes away a lot of my ground. You have also conceded the weighing argument why having a planned supercharges is you will always pair matches to the resolution and know which framework functions best. So if you run AFC, you'll win the framework debate and you'll win the contender level debate. There's no way for the negative to win. Also, this answers back to your number one argument about side bias. Even if there is a slight side bias, you can still win. However, if you run AFC with a plan that significantly overcompensates and ensures you'll win every single round. Let's go to your side bias argument. One, this assumes that there is actually a side bias. The AC points that we don't get a 3 AR, which means that 2 AR has to be both forward looking and backward looking to respond to the 1 AR, as well as predict what the 2 AR says. 2 AR gets the last say on the argument, which means I get to twist however arguments it wants. The AC points that 1 AR is not that hard. You can introduce a new shot and respond to previous layers. Plus the 7% side bias is not that much, so it's not statistically significant. Your second argument is that util isn't unfair. However, my interpretation solves for this. My interpretation says that you can't prohibit me from running another framework. I don't care if util is fair or not. I'm the only one accessing the standard into fairness, which means that it's going to be really clear on the theory page. But let's go to substance. On the turn, really big mistake you made, father, especially one that you should not make at the 2012 semis of the TOC. The ace point that you did not extend any offense coming out of the plan. The beast point is that you have dropped the turn under the AC. So I would concede that you win a framework. However, it's a definite win for the negative on the utilitarian, even under your framework. Let's extend my turn. That definitely force kills the perpetrator. That's worse impact on util. However crappy you think that argument is, the argument is dropping as a claim and a warrant, which means as a full argument. The argument is that when you respond with deadly force, you're killing the perpetrator. Killing is a worse impact because that's going to be irreversible and that cannot be changed. However, violence cannot be solved. Remember, do not allow for new 2 AR ink on this argument because this was completely dropped from the 1 AR. My strategy was predicated on 1 AR drops. Now, let's go to his intern or his definition. He did not explicitly extend his interpretation or his violation. Debate is a discursive game. Even if there's going to be an embedded clash, you shouldn't give it to him, especially at the 2012 semis of the TOC, when she shouldn't be making such an elementary mistake and forgetting to extend his interpretation. Further, I don't know what embedded clash means. I don't know what he meant to clash. I don't know what he meant to clash. The worst case scenario for him, he doesn't access an interpretation, which means that it doesn't matter if I win the theory debate or not. I'm still going to win substance. But best case scenario, he still accesses interpretation. This means that you should make it my interpretation and his the counter interpretation because he's going to be extending it later.
Okay. I think that last argument needs to be fleshed out more. Like there needs to be an explanation for why that is the case.
Yeah, I ran out of time, so yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, this was quite good. I think that you're getting through the debate a lot cleaner and a lot easier. Do you feel like this 2NR puts you in a better position to win compared to the 2NR Regan gave?
Yeah, sure. I think the 2NR Regan gave was problematic because he was losing on the theory debate. Plus he tried to fight. He fought in an unnecessary battle on framework, the fight that he could simply avoid it. Also made Bob look pretty bad if he pointed out that he dropped the util turn.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So this was a great drill, and so let's talk about real quick what you learned. It's important to go for the right arguments, not the easy arguments, right? Regan was tempted to go for framework because Bob did a poor job on the framework debate. But in this case, there was no need to go for framework in the 2NR because, as you just correctly pointed out, the util debate was pretty clearly flowing negative. The second thing is, I think, in terms of big picture, is the type of hedging you're doing when you're talking about the drop. Like, this was completely dropped. I don't care how crappy you think it was. Like, my strategy is predicated on 1AR drops. I think that's really good analysis, and that's something you need to make sure you're doing, especially on arguments that aren't particularly great arguments that are being dropped and that have a lot of weight in terms of how the round will be decided. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, I think the other thing is it's important to be flexible on the theory debate. Like, even though Phil-Ed is the argument that's being most heavily clashed, it's often most strategic to not go for that argument then and go for another standard. That's why it's important to give yourself offense on both fairness and education so that the next speech can be flexible.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
No, I'm good.